Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Straight red warrior.
But kills the dank music. Full drive static attic. You know what it is.
Shalom.
Body of Messiah. The veil of a Mashiach, the anointed.
Put on the Mashiach.
Yeah. Woman with the flesh is the ultimate fight.
The day in life of an Israelite.
The Torah is the lamp of light.
The day in life of an Israelite.
Obedience over sacrifice.
The day in life of an Israelite.
Walk in faith and we follow Christ.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
The anointed. Priestly appointments, left it is waiting me. I pray for the atonement.
Y'all see the subject, right?
My character, where Hebrew demand respect. Church is the mystery. So I
This
move
is
in
part 2.
Many failed relationships, mental slaves replace the ships.
Of season
Why she distract me
of
with
the
a hip.
witch.
Different bullets, same gun. Satan tried to gain one. I needed love, so he washed me with the blood of his only son. Yeah, they
Shalom, 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 shalom. Welcome in the room. Welcome, Zion. Welcome.
Meditation, repentance, redemption. You say you not sick, but I see the symptoms. Messiah healed the nations. Faith practice patience. No man knows the day.
Yes, come on in the room. Come on in the room. You can email everybody. Let them know that Moray is live. The ARK is live.
Yeah. Woman with the flesh is the ultimate fight.
And once again, we're getting ready to get in this word, Zion. We're going to look at our holy manuscript. Lift up our voice like a trumpet and warn Israel. Warn them about the season of the witch, how we ought to stay alert and circumspect and stay away from the satanic foolishness in this world. Yes, once again. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
And I can give it to a revenge and cold dish. It's all subliminal. The lynch mob, gorillas in the midst.
Shalom, shalom. I see you coming in the room. Yeah, once again, that's the 4th tribe. Static Attic.
I get it all from the stab of my back.
Yeah. Welcome.
So don't trip, yeah. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they still ain't used to eye. They scream Hosanna, then it's crucified. Yeah.
Woman with the flesh is the ultimate fight.
The day in life of an Israelite.
Shalom, shalom.
The day in life of an Israelite.
Let me see here. See us in the room. Hallelujah.
The day in life of an Israelite.
So one of our administrators is in, so y'all know we can get started. And to all you, my father's children, shalom.
Sometimes the wicked in this land take it too far. He was a soldier, 10 toes down like the ox standing next to me. Well versed in the scripts and bang the word in the street. You never know when it's your time to take a nap. So make your election sure, cause you won't be back. Gratefully the Most High will give me grace. In my carnal life, I would take your case.
Shalom, shalom.
Peace if it helps your faith. Trying to make up for my pain.
Already 92 people in the room, less than 5 minutes.
Running the states.
We give our Yah praise, honor, and glory for that. And we're going to study, get an opportunity for ourselves to read the scripture.
The day in life of an Israelite.
The Torah is the lamp of light.
The day in life of an Israelite.
Once again, shalom, 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 shalom.
The day in life of an Israelite.
Walk in faith and we follow Christ.
Living life as an Israelite.
17 with you.
Hallelujah. And welcome once again to our Bible study as we study the Holy Scripture, the manuscript of our people given to us by Abba Yah, given to us through us, for us. And oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. We want the whole world to know the gig is up. Want the whole world to know that we know who we are in spite of what you all heathens did and you pagans have done to try to hide our identity and try to misrepresent our holy manuscript. No, we ain't having it, not in these last days. Abba Yah's waking up Jacob to the four corners of the earth. And as I speak, there are Hebrew Israelites waking up in South Africa, Australia, East Africa, Madagascar, West Africa, Ghana, down in the Ivory Coast. Hebrews waking up all in the islands, Trinidad and Tobago, all in South America. They're waking up in Mexico, waking up North America, and no one can do about it because according to the holy manuscript, Abba Yah, Isaiah chapter 11 promised to wave his hand a second time and recover those who have been scattered. It has also been prophesied, Zion, that in the last days of our captivity, that Abba Yah would raise up shepherds, pastors, leaders, seers that would actually feed his people, not fleece the people, but feed the people the very word of Abba Yah. And hallelujah, as we wake up Jacob, we understand how important it is that we feed the word of Yah to his people. And we give Abba Yah praise that Hebrews in Canada thought they was Canadian. Now they like, no, I'm an Israelite. Yes, we got Hebrews in the UK, in Mario, England, who thought they was English until a few years ago they heard the call and they said, wait a minute, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. And the Israelites began to wake up all over the world. And those of you who are in the room right now, Toda Rabbah, if your eyes are open and you're woke to the truth, we give Abba Yah praise, honor, and glory that we no longer have to follow the wiles of the devil, that we are set free from the shackles and fetters of traditional, man-made, demonically infused, satanic worship that we were caught up in. No, now we're free to read the Holy Bible. Because Zion, as a moray, let me say this, wasn't too long ago. Some of you watching me right now, some of y'all watching me right now, wasn't too long ago, dressing your children up like the devil. Had your little son looking like little pimps, and if you didn't have no money for pimp clothes, you went and burnt holes and cut holes in a pillowcase looking like the Ku Klux Klan, walking around talking about trick or treat. You know I'm telling the truth. Buying fake blood and false teeth, and oh, it was a hot mess. And steady talking about, oh, how I love white Jesus. Oh, I love white Jesus. And at the same time, had your daughters dressing up like whores and the dead. So Zion, when we hear now the truth, and I'm talking about we were doing that kind of stuff while we were attending those spiritual whorehouses. As a matter of fact, we proved beyond a shadow of a doubt last time we was together that the reason most of us was caught up in this foolishness in the first place was because it was being pushed by the whole house. And I'm talking about that local church. The church was pushing Halloween. The pastor was Dracula. The pastor was dressing up like the vampire. The pastor's wife was a witch. And the deacons was dressed up like goblins and goony goo goo. And so here we are. Talking about, am I pastor? And then a couple years ago, they started having trick or treat in the parking lot. Talking about, yeah, we realize it's satanic, but we just gonna have it in the parking lot. You ain't doing no better, you heathens, and you unrepentant Hebrews. It will be the lake of fire for all those that worship and follow and participate in the satanic and demonic rites of Hasatan, the devil. And that's why morehyosh Yahudah Ben Israel does not have a problem lifting up my voice like a trumpet during this season of the witch. And if you all understand that, and because there's 150 people in the room and it's only around 12 minutes, I believe you do understand that. Place a 7 in this chat, please. Place a 7. And that'll let me know that we all on the same page, where we unapologetically bring forth part 2 of the season of the witch. I want to talk about this evening for a little while. I want to talk about this satanic system. I want to talk about during the season of the witch. I want you to understand something, Zion. That during the season of the witch, we must be keenly aware that we, Hebrew Israelites from the 12 tribes of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is Jacob, name was changed to Israel, we need to understand that we are truly strangers in a strange land. Woo! Moray says something. You better know that you are pilgrims and sojourners through this wicked satanic system. This is not your system, Zion. This is not your laws, statutes, and commandments that we're living under, Zion. This culture is not your culture. These heathen practices and heathen satanic rituals and rites are not your principles. They are not your culture. These are not your rituals. You need to be aware of the fact you're a stranger in a strange land. You were forced into the land of witches, warlocks. You were put into a place led by Satan and the devil. And you are now a victim of a system that was set up against you from the beginning. And one of the things morehyosh is trying to expose to you is that you no longer have to stay a victim to the system. You can come out of her, my beloved, and be separate, saith Yahuwah. If that makes sense, before we even open up the very first verse tonight, I need everyone to place a 9. Please, place a 9. None of this satanic stuff is ours. Boy, all of this stuff is the devil's and primarily belong to the Hamites and the Japhites. This stuff come out of ancient Africa, and I know that's not really that's not what it was called in the beginning. But this stuff come out of ancient Africa, Mesopotamia, and it come out of ancient Europe. But Zion, none of this stuff is yours. And Halloween sure ain't you. That's my favorite time of the year. No, it's not. That's the devil's time. It's not your culture. This is not your people. As a matter of fact, as scared as most of you Hebrew Israelites are of anything dark and scary, you ought to be the last person to talk about some Halloween. What's wrong with y'all? You know better than that. You know better than that. Half of y'all watching me can't hardly sleep with the lights off. The other half, every time you get outside in this dark, you looking around. What's that? What's that? Did you hear that? Shh, be quiet. Did you see that? And even when some of you newlywed Hebrews and some of you seasoned Hebrews, even now you still go watching horror movies, and the whole time you watching the movie, you all saying the same thing to each other. Who I'd have been gone? Who I'd have been gone? I can't understand that. I'd have been gone. Don't go in there. Don't go in there. Who I'd have been gone? Why you keep saying you'd have been gone? Soon as you heard you watching the scary movie and you can't even watch it because you thinking about that was you, you'd have been gone. You'd have been gone. You'd have been gone. What's wrong? You child, don't go in there. Shoot, if I'd have heard that noise, I'd have been gone. But then come Halloween and you dress up your daughter like the devil, like a witch. Then come around this time of year, you dress up yourself like a hoe. You dress yourself up like a chainsaw massacre maker. And morehyosh Yahu's job is to try to break the stupidity out of our people to get us to wake up and understand this ain't got nothing to do with who we are and whose we are. This ain't our culture. You're in a system. You're in a system that is satanic. And we have entered into the season of the witch. Let me show you how satanic your system is, that this system is. There's a church on every corner. In this crazy society we live in. Every one of them churches got hundreds of these books right here called the Bible. I say hundreds of them. They got hundreds of them in the library. They got them all in the classrooms. And every member of every church got this Bible. Same Bible. But not one place did you see during Sukkot where they were putting up sukkahs for us to remember our 40 years in the desert during the wilderness when Abayah dwelt with his people, which would signify the fact that eventually, according to John, he would become flesh and dwelt among us. You didn't see that nowhere, did you? Nobody was putting up sukkahs at Lowe's, at Home Depot. Nobody was putting up sukkahs at Walmart. Nobody was putting up sukkahs in the gas stations. Nobody was putting up the sukkot, the sukkah, the tents. Nowhere. But everybody got the same Bible. And the Feast of Tabernacle is in this book more than once. And yet Halloween ain't nowhere in here. I'm trying to show you the system. You can read this Bible, because I've done it, from the beginning to the end, from the end back to the beginning, from the beginning to the end, and I promise you, you'll never see Halloween in here. You'll never see nothing about dressing up your kids like the devil, knocking on doors, bobbing for no dang apples. You'll never see none of that, Zion. You will never see none of that. But this quote-unquote Christian nation has flooded the world with Frankensteins and Draculas and dead married couples. Everywhere you go, you see this stuff. How is it that they got the same book we got? Oh, because they're the devil. It's a completely different system. Our culture and our system is this book. See, that's our culture. We're the Hebrew Israelites. Their system, even though they hold this book, their system is from Satan. It's the devil. And they will not compromise their system to please Yah ever. Matter of fact, they won't celebrate none of his holy days, but they make sure that they push all of them hell days. The name of my lesson tonight is the satanic system. And let me share something, Zion. There is no such thing of a system that does not have support. If there's going to be a system, follow me now, that system must have a way of support for the system. Now watch this. The supporters understand how much they need the system. So the people that are dependent on the system make sure that they support the system because they believe in their heart that the system is supporting them. In other words, it's a give and take. It's a give and receive relationship between the satanic system and those who practice and live in the satanic system. If that made sense, put a 12 in this chat. If you can understand that this system is set up in order to quote unquote support the people, but the system would collapse if the people stop supporting the system. Oh, Maury, why is it? If it's so bad, how come people still doing it? They still doing it because they believe they are being supported by it. In other words, people support this Satanism because they love it. They love it. Oh, do they love it? Look forward to planning to do something wicked and evil for months and months before they do it. So it's a wild system. And the system that we found ourselves in was not the system given to us in Torah. The system that we find ourselves now in is the very system that Yah warns us about. We're in the system that he said, stay away from that. That right there is going to lead you straight to hell. And the works of this particular system will bring my wrath. And I will destroy everybody who not only pushes the system, but I will destroy everybody who's supporting this system. More, man. There you go, more. I can hear. I hear y'all. But if y'all understand that the system and the support is a give-take relationship, put a 15. Put a 1-5. And I'm gonna prove it. Put a 1-5. And we're gonna prove it with script like we always do. And as I've said before, why would you just sit there and believe the more when you got a Bible you can open right now? You got computers and laptops and iPads or whatever. Open them. And even if you just have a regular dictionary, you can prove these things. Let us go, Zion. It's 221 people in the room, and we give Abba praise for that. Part 2, Season of the Witch. Satanic system. Let's go back to our home verse. Let's get back in that Deuteronomy chapter 9. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 9. Let's do that. Let's get back into our anchor verse. And when thou art come into the land which Yahuwah your Elohim gives thee, thou shalt not learn. Thou shalt not learn. Thou shalt not learn. Thou shalt not. I done told you all this before. He said, don't learn nothing over there. Don't learn to do after the abominations of those nations. What? So the work of the other nations are abominable to Yah. So he said, when you go over into the land, there will be, now this is what the Mora is trying to get you to see. When you go there, there will already be a system set up. They already have a system set up, but their system is an abomination to me because their system operates in witchcraft, in demonic activity, in forbidden satanic rituals and rites. Don't learn after those nations. Verse 10. This is our foundation. There shall not be found among any one, not two, one, not one of y'all will make his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. Stop. We spend a lot of time on the Shabbat talking about how this passing through the fire is none other than abortion, which abort simply means to stop a mission or stop a thing before its actual completion. The real word is kill. K-I-L-L, kill. And what Hamashiach is saying to us tonight is that not one of us should kill our children. Nobody kill your kid. Nobody kill your child. Nobody kill your daughter. No one kills your son. And it does not matter to Yah how old your child is. Whether your child is 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year, we don't burn our children. That's a satanic, heathen, devilish practice that comes straight out of the very pit of hell. And it was the heathens, these satanically devil worshiping, that came up with a way to lure Hebrew Israelites into breaking this command. That demon Sanger and all the other ones and them Roe v. Wades and all that Boy, and they worked that satanic system for one reason, to kill the children of Israel. And you know how they did it? They went to the pastors. I ain't got time to deal with that. These satanically witchcraft, devil worshiping, hog meat eating, Halloween dress up in. Boy, what's wrong with Zion? When that devilish witch went to the pastors and to the leaders of the black community, she told them to kill the boys and kill the baby, and I'll give you some money. And I was talking to Javon earlier, my oldest son. I was talking to him, to my only son. I was talking to him earlier today. And I explained to him without apology, unapologetically. Said, you realize, right, that abortion burns the child to death. You realize when they shoot that saline sensor, whatever it is, it burns the child, just like when they used to put the child in the hands of a burning idol. You do realize that the ones that are not burnt are cut up in pieces. They even have a thing called partial birth, where the baby starts to be born and they pull their head out and shove scissors in his skull. And you got these unrepentant, ignorant, half-dead Hebrews walking around arm in arm with these whoremongers and these baby murderers talking about we need a right to do it. All of them will have their part in the lake of fire. If you kill your baby, you have a better life. You're going to hell. You kill your baby, you graduate from college, you're going to hell. Go on and kill that baby girl. You don't want nobody messing up your figure, do you? You're going to hell. Go on and kill your baby. You don't want to be embarrassed, huh, baby? You're going to hell. You got to kill that baby, because if you don't kill that baby, you're going to starve to death. You're going to hell. Tell you something about my Abayah. My Abayah got it set up to when a Hebrew woman get pregnant, the baby's food is in her body. He gonna feed the baby before he feeds you. You don't want your baby to have to suffer. Who said he was gonna suffer? And who said anybody gonna live this life without going through some suffering? Boy, you Hebrew, and that's the very first thing we do now. That is what we're real witchcraft. Now the question is, how is abortion even among our people named at all? And how is it that they are still doing it to us disproportionately to any other race? Because we supporting it. That's why. I'm telling you right now. A system cannot stand without support. And the evil Hebrew Israelite men that steady paying for these things, you going to hell too. Boy, that's cold blood. All right, you say what you want to say. You ain't going to kill Hebrews and go to heaven. What's wrong with you? Unless there is some mass repentance and mass turning from your evil ways and some mass trying to make up for your wrong, that you might have a chance to plead the mercy of Almighty Yah, because you're not a heathen, you're not a devil worshiper, and you're not satanic in your core. So when you went to do that, you're not like the heathen. When the heathen kills their children, that's just a normal thing to do. That's a part of their life. But when a Hebrew do it, he has to fight his own nature. And she has to fight her nature. Because we were made in the very image of Yah. We are the chosen of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And even when we don't know it, we do know it because it's in our DNA. We just somehow know we're not supposed to be killing Israel. Not the Israel's sons and not Israel's daughters. But notice that's the first system of witchcraft and Satanism that he warns us not to do. And unfortunately, that's one of the main things in the satanic system, because the system we live in now is so satanic that if you don't believe in killing babies, you can't even get elected to public office. And if y'all know the moray is telling the truth, woo! Put a 27. Put a 27 in the room. You know I'm telling the truth. That's all they worried about. They're going to overturn Roe versus Wade. They're going to overturn Roe versus Wade. We got to get us new Supreme. They're going to overturn Roe versus Wade. We're going to have a new president. They're going to overturn Roe versus Wade. We're going to try to, get it. But are they going to overturn Roe versus Wade, though? Do we have a right to kill our kids? We want to kill these babies now. Would you tell me right now that you're going to allow us to be able to kill our children? Because we want to kill these babies. We have to kill the babies. Why? Because that's a satanic witchcraft-infused system. And morehyosh Yahoo the ARK is here to tell you that's the first thing in Deuteronomy we find out when he go into the land. He said, don't you do that. And that's the number one thing that we're doing right now against our own people. Damn shame. Woo! We got some repenting to do as a nation. And I'm going to say another thing. Do you know what's so satanic among our people right now? That a person will kill their baby so they won't be embarrassed at church. Because church is a satanic system. That's why many of them getting ready to do trick or treat, trunk or treat. And even though COVID-19 is out, they like, oh no, it don't matter. Y'all just come to the parking lot. You're in trouble. I'm talking about a system tonight. I'm dealing with the season of the witch, but the emphasis tonight, because we got like 3 more of these lessons to do, but the emphasis tonight is to expose the system. I don't want a Hebrew leaving this chat, or leaving this video, believing that a witch is somebody with a green face and a long pencil nose, and a pointy black hat and a broomstick. What's wrong with Zion? Them witches and warlocks is wearing medical gear. They're doctors, lawyers, nurses, practitioners, educators. The witches and warlocks today are pastors, preachers, deacons, that judge and that lawyer. That is the witch and the warlock. Those are the people pushing this system. And if y'all understand that, put a 50 in the chat. Trying to make it clear to all Israel. Get out of that satanic system, especially right now, because I believe it won't be long. Our king is coming. That was the first one. The second one says, thou shalt not be found among you one that maketh his son or daughter pass through the fire. Number one. What else is in this system? This old nasty, dirty system we're in. Or one that uses divination. And the way them 50s is rolling through here, somebody is hearing what the moray is saying during this season of the witch. Somebody is getting understanding. We get our minds off of these cartoon characters. And we actually start realizing who the real witches and warlocks are and how they are out to kill our people. That's what these 50s is representing. Watch this. He says, or one that uses What? Divination. Wait, Moray. Are you serious? Are you really saying that divination is a part of this satanic system? It's right in your Bible. Yes. So what is divination? See, divination is the Hebrew word, kashem. Obviously, it has to do with speech, but in this case, it's the opposite of the good side. It's the evil side. So it is people, watch this, who speak on behalf of the devil. It's what we call false prophets. When you get into the land, you don't be following the false prophets. Or you don't be following the false preacher. And you sure don't become one yourself. It shall not be named among you, not one. That's what Yah said. How come he said that? Because he knew that the kingdoms around us, they all have preachers and they all have prophets, but all of their preachers and all of their prophets work for the devil, and they use divination to do it. If I'm going to make it on the time that I set up for myself, I'm going to have to move on. But I need you all to understand that. I need you to clearly understand that every world system have their preachers. Everybody have their pastors. Everybody have their quote unquote spiritual leaders, their prophets. The people who always seem to have an ability or have the gift to divine or to preach. And he says, when you go into this land, there will be people who will claim to have powers to be able to preach, to open up your mind to certain things. Divination, which is basically one of the ways witchcraft is spread. So can a church be guilty of divination? Of course. As a matter of fact, the whole church system is divination. Moray, there you go, man. There you go, Moray. I was watching you up until that point. Now I'm going to turn you off. Turn it off then. Everybody's scared of you turning off this message. This message is not for the ones that are weak and sissy and scared. This is not for the ones that are timid. These messages are for the ones that have to stand strong in the last day. Whenever you change anything in the Bible in order to suit you or to suit someone else above you other than Yah, you are working in witchcraft and divination. You don't have to be with no pointy hat and a green head and a long nose. When you told our people that we didn't have to keep the Shabbat, you used divination. When you told our people that the Old Testament was done away with, that's divination. See, Moray gonna clear it up for the whole world. I know what the biblical word means. When you say that the laws, statutes, and the commandments have been no longer have to be kept, and then you turn around and got people believing that, that's divination. How did you do that? How do you take people who can read? They got Bibles. They can read. They can read that his laws and statutes are forever. They can read that they're in a covenant. They can read that the Shabbat is on the seventh day. They can read it for themselves from the beginning to the end. But because of the divination of the preachers and pastors, the divination gets in the mind. So when a person is reading, they're reading, but they can't see what they're reading. They can only hear that the big Pastor Big Bottom from Bill, Mississippi. That's the only verse they can hear. Now let me say something. All we got to do died on Friday night, died on Friday. God for the morning. Then you go, did he really die on Friday? How can you die on Friday and stay in the grave 3 days and 3 nights and get up Sunday morning? But see that divination. See, divination is when they say it so many times that even though you read it, you go, this Negro is lying, but you believe him anyway. This European is lying, but you go with it anyway. Why? You're under a spell of divination. Because they say, oh, what Friday, he died. And you go, no, he didn't die on Friday, he died on Wednesday. No, what Friday? It really don't matter what day he died, as long as he died. Boy, you pastors gonna pay for that. Oh, my goodness gracious. Who told you it don't matter what day he died? Apostle Paul said Hamashiach died according to the scriptures. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. It does matter. A whole lot of people was crucified. Don't you know that? A whole lot of people died on crosses. Don't you know that? You know who was guilty of divination in the Bible? A prophet named Balaam. Hey, Balaam. Go back and read it. Balaam was paid as a prophet of Yah to seduce the people of Yah to sin against Yah so that the enemies, Midianites, Moabites, and all, could come and attack them. Y'all should go back and read. And Balaam actually started preaching. And when he would preach the Torah, the people were being blessed. So what did he do? He went back and told the one giving him money, he said, look, I can't preach the Torah because every time I teach the Torah, the people do better. He said, well, then you got to know a way to make them do bad. He said, oh, yeah, let me tell you. You got to get them to sin. And Balaam goes down as a false prophet, but the word used for him is this very word, Kashem. Came out of his mouth and caused Israel to suffer. And we find the same thing in the book of Revelation. I'm talking about the system. Tonight's emphasis is the system and how the system is supported. The reason why the religious system today, which is basically what y'all would know as white magic, is still satanic, it's still going to hell. But because it looks like, because it's churchy and religious, you don't think there's anything negative to it. So you can't see that the system itself is set up on Satanism, even though right now the Satanism is in your face. As I mentioned in the beginning, they didn't keep Sukkot. They didn't keep the Day of Atonement. They didn't keep the trumpet. They didn't keep the dedication. They don't keep first fruits. They don't keep unleavened bread. They don't keep Passover. They don't even keep Purim or nothing. How come? Because the religious, quote unquote, worldly Christian religion is a system. And their system runs outside of Torah. It runs outside of our culture. Now, I cannot spend this much time in every one of these. But if you understand clearly what I'm talking about, put an 87. If you can now see it. Next word, I've told you I'm going to give you these words. We might not make it through it all. But the very next word that he says in the Bible, or an observer of times. Pause. What is the observer of times? Y'all not going to believe this. It's our word, Anan. And for those you Hebrews who were following me during the, or following the teachings during Sukkot, you'll know that I did a series of messages on this word Anan, because Anan is the Hebrew word for cloud. Cloud. So when you read here, it says, or an observer of time. Wait a minute, hold on. Yes, or observer of times. If you would read that in the Hebrew, it's Anan. So more, what do you mean? One that, a cloud? When we deal with the word Anan, it has to do with people who are like soothsayers. It represents people who like use the times to practice their witchcraft in order to control the people. Now, really, I want you to hear the more right here. The observers of times today are trying to lead people without Yah, because it was Yah who is to be the pillar of fire during the day and the pillar of the pillar of fire at night and the pillar of cloud during the day. Yah is in the pillar of cloud and fire to do what? Lead the people. So that the people, if you read the text close, the people are not like following the stars. They're not like following the seasons. The people are actually following Yah. Woo! Morehyosh Yahoo. Dawid ben Israel says something right there. If y'all understand that, put a 100 in this chat, please. If you can understand that Yah set this thing up to where everybody was supposed to follow him. He was in the fire. He was in the cloud. He didn't say just look up in the heaven and then start following the zodiac sign. But the people in Canaan, the people in the Americas, the people in Europe, because they don't follow Yah, they are the observers of times. So they use the times and seasons and zodiacs and things, watch this, that they believe can tell their future. And I mentioned about the fact that this is a satanic system. And before you all start feeling bad, because I already know you're going to feel bad, the whole world, according to the book of Revelation, I believe it's in chapter 9, it says that Satan at one time had deceived the whole world through sorcery. So all of us at one time were guilty because we thought that it was something to it. Shoot, you know, I'm a Capricorn child, and the Capricorns, and you know, I'm a Negritarius, and Negritariuses do this, and you know, I'm a black man. Whoa, what is you? What did you say you were? And we believed that stuff. We started reading horoscopes. We started trying to figure out what's going on. I want to know my past. What's going to happen today, child? What's going to happen today, child? You say, Hey, that stuff is satanic. Well, I don't know about all that. All I know is that the last time it said something, it came true. Ooh, just because. Let me tell you what that system is doing. That system got you reading horoscope. And you don't know Exodus. You don't know Leviticus, Deuteronomy. You don't know Isaiah. You don't know Hosea. You don't know Zephaniah. You don't know Obadiah. You don't know nothing. But you steady reading horoscopes and times and phases. That's that word. The idea behind that is a system that is set up to lead you that's outside of your system. That's the system you're living in. So how is it supported? Oh, that should be easy. Everybody always buying stuff, little trinkets, tattoo parlors, putting this stuff on people. They got all these little beads and juju beads in stores, and with the name of the day they got. Everywhere you go, there's a way to support that satanic system. Soothsayers, diviners, people dealing with this witchcraft. And primarily when you start talking about religion, when you're supporting a person who told you the Old Testament has been done away with, and you don't have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Look, you supporting that when you give. When you say, I'm going to pray that you continue to teach what you're teaching. And then the leader is not held to the fire concerning what he's teaching. No, he's emboldened. As a matter of fact, when a person like me challenge him, and believe me, I done challenged almost all of them. They say, well, more right here. He going into this black and white stuff. Woo, you Hebrews keep lying on me, boy, you gonna have hell to pay. This ain't about no black and white. Nobody said that white skin can't make it to the kingdom, and ain't nobody said black skin gonna guarantee you a place in the kingdom. Trying to misrepresent because you don't got a script. You leaders are so weak. Y'all gonna deal with y'all, and it's gonna be so bad. All you can do is say it ain't about color. Who cares about color? We talking about Torah. Yeah, you tell people, you keep telling people, man, that white Jesus the reason for the season, and you don't tell people that's really Talmud. How come, Reb? Y'all, there you go. You trying to deal with this black and white thing, boy? You cop out little sissies, you. Ain't worth two dead flies rubbed together. I don't care how big your car is, how shiny your shoes is. I don't care nothing about what price you paying for your Learjet. You ain't worth two dead flies. Third thing in this system that we got to watch. We have to watch those nakash. The word is nakash. When we get to the word where it says, or an enchanter, you got to watch the people who are always talking about a sign. Oh, because that's what this whole system is set up on. Man, it must be a sign. This must be a sign. Oh, that might be a sign. Oh, yes. You walk in there. You know what? You coming in today might be a sign. So now Hebrews, everything they do is a sign. You wake up in the morning and have a flat tire. Oh, it must be a sign. What's the sign? Guess I ain't supposed to go to work today. No, what the sign was, you should have put some tires on your car so that you wouldn't be worried about no flat. You knew that tire was bald when you drove it up in the driveway. They ain't talking about, that must be a sign. Y'all better cut it out. Do you understand that a person in scripture that claim that something is a biblical sign and is not would face the death penalty among Hebrews? That's against our culture. We don't just be calling everything no sign, but I guarantee you, if you look into the satanic religious system today, even as well as the system that we live in, and they always talking about a sign, it ain't never, how come there's never a sign to keep Torah? How come none of the signs these heathens are talking about in these religious whorehouses is telling them to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments? Because the last time I studied the word for sign in the Hebrew, I found out that all of the signs that Yah gave points to him and keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments. All the rest of them signs is just coincidences and happenstance. A lot of that stuff is from the devil, and most of it is made up. I keep telling you, a witch ain't just running around in a black hat, a green face, long nose on a broomstick. Every time that one or two sisters always see you and they say, you know what, this must be a sign. If it ain't a sign to keep the law, statutes, and commandments and to follow Abba Yah and to bow down at the feet of the king, then you got a bad sign. But there's a system set up on just that. You got to come out that system. They'll have you all twisted. It's so bad now. You got some people talking about they saw a sign from Yah that somebody else's husband was their husband. Or they got a sign from Yah that somebody else's wife is going to be their wife. Like, really? Boy, yeah, what kind of signs y'all getting? Everywhere you go in this crazy world today, we dealing with fortune telling. And there is a big difference, Zion, between biblical prophecy and fortune telling. And let the Moray just break down this word fortune telling. Because again, you're going to deal with these dirty, nasty, satanically infused Europeans come out of Yafet. The idea of fortune telling is just that. You tell a person that they're going to have good fortune in the future. That's where the word comes from. So it's not necessarily future telling, it's fortune telling. Notice the difference in the way they say the word. They don't necessarily say, I'm going to a future teller. They say, I'm going to a fortune teller. That's witchcraft. And every time somebody always trying to read your fortune, and every time you walk around anything and anybody religious, they always want to tell you something about your fortune. And let me tell you something, that stuff is from the devil, is satanic. If you want to know your future, you better read the Torah. If you want to know what's really going to happen tomorrow, you better pick up these laws, statutes, and commandments and start reading this book from cover to cover. Then you will see your past, your present, and your future. But any system set up to go around this book, to give you information about the future, to go around this book, to give you information about your fortune, go around this book to give you information about whether or not you go, anything that does that, y'all, is a religious satanic system. And during this time, it will increase because this is the season of the witch. If that was made abundantly clear, put a 200 in this chat, please. And I'm about to get out. I'm dealing with the system. Watch this. Ooh, them 200s. You mean tell me on a Tuesday, at what time is it? 3:30. We got over 300 people in the room. Oh, Zion must want to know about the season of the witch. And I believe information, inspiration, wisdom, and knowledge and understanding is going forth the way these 200s keep rolling up the screen. Woo! And then he just flat out says in verse 10, the next word is witch. And that's where I emphasize on the Shabbat. Because really, all of this is witchcraft. And I gave you the 2 words. I got to give them to you one more time, but I won't spend that much time. You can go back and watch the other video. A witch is a communicator. Get the ugly white European with green face, long nose, black hat. Get that out your head. A witch is a communicator. Whether that person is a communicator, the president of a news channel, whether that person is running politics, whether that person is running your local church, whether that person is running your local government, whether that person is a teacher or a scientist or whoever. Remember that the word witch in Hebrew has its root in communication. The idea is this person communicates or claims to have information outside of Torah. He's communicating something to you. And I'm telling you where the communication comes from. It comes from satanic worship. We'll get to that in the next video. But the idea of communication is a witch, not a flyer on a broom, a communicator. So the question is then, how does a biblical witch, a biblical communicator of that which is evil, how do they do it? And there's where you get the second word, craft. So you have communication, that's word 1. Craft is the means or the method used to push the communication. Okay? So in the satanic system, they have people in the system. Matter of fact, most of them are participating in this themselves, who use things to communicate the message of their master, Satan, the devil. They worship the devil. Their God is Satan, the devil. So how do you get the devil's message to the masses? And of course, the answer is through craft. So whether you're going to preach satanic information, remember, anything against the Torah is satanic. So whether you're going to use the television, say the TV is the craft, then they're going to use the television to further satanic and Satanism. If it's music, if that's the craft, then this system is going to use music in order to push Satan's agenda and Satan's system. If education is their craft, then they're going to use the educational system not to teach the Bible. You know, the Bible tells us that it's fear of Yah that is the beginning of wisdom. Read again, say the fear of Yah is the beginning of knowledge. You can read this book again and say the fear of Yah is the beginning of understanding. But in this satanic system, they don't teach Torah. They use the school system, watch me now, as a craft to push their satanic agenda. And yes, the religious system called the Christian church, as well as other churches and organizations, are also being used as a craft to push Halloween. The organizations, the system uses organized religion as a craft to push the worship of Tammuz and Semiramis. Some of y'all know I'm telling the truth. Somebody said, well, you go in the social hall and they got black widow spiders and man, fake spider webs and witches and broomsticks hanging in the social hall. On the Sunday bulletin, they got jack-o'-lanterns. What is going on? It's part of the craft. It's part of the overall system. So they have to participate in it, or what will happen to them? They'll get booted out the system. And that's what most pastors, preachers, and people can't handle. The idea that if I don't do Halloween, Easter, Christmas, and all that, the system itself will kick me out of the system. And they say, if I get kicked out the system, I can't live. If I get kicked out the system, how am I going to eat? And how am I going to drive these fancy cars? And how am I going to be able to have all these people call me pastor? And they can't think of, but let me tell you something, and they write about it. Man, this system can't stand Torah. They'll let you do anything. Man, you can have Earth Day in church. They don't care. Have jack-o'-lantern. They don't care. You could dress up like the devil. They don't care. You can have elves. They don't care. You can have the wicked whore they claim is Mother Nature, ain't nothing but a demon. They don't care. Man, you could have snowmen with corn cob pipes. They don't care. And you can have make-believe bunnies laying eggs. They don't care. You can have half goat, half man posted on every wall in the church. They don't care. But as soon as you start talking about keeping the Torah and Passover and the lamb and all that, boy, you get kicked out the system. If y'all, I can't make it no clearer than that. I'm doing the best I can on today. If that made sense and it went out worldwide, that you can now see the system in full effect, put them 1,000. While I just take another sip of this water. They use the 1,000 is rolling. They use the music industry. That's their craft. They even use athletes. They use the entertainers. They use everybody to push the craft. And then when you ask the people, like, why are you still, I thought you was a Hebrew Israelite. Why are you still doing this? Well, they said, if I don't do it, I might not get the next contract. If I don't do it, they're going to cut me from the basketball team. If I don't do it, I won't be on the football team. If I don't participate, they already told me, I just figured, man, I'm just going to go on and do it. I know you're caught up in the system, but you don't understand that the reason why the system is so strong is because of people like you supporting it. And when I talk, now let me talk to all quote unquote Hebrew Israelites, whether you're conscious or not, because the Most High let me know that these messages are going out to not just the awake Hebrews, but some people who are waking up. Let me share something with you. If just the Hebrews in this world, if just the Israelites in this world stop supporting the satanic system, it will fall apart in one day. Did y'all hear the moment? I said, if just us stop, oh man, it won't last another week. Y'all be like, man, what happened to Halloween? Oh, the Hebrews, that's what they gonna say. The Negroes stopped supporting it. It just died overnight. Really? Yeah, you do know they was the ones spending 90% of the money. They are 100% a consumer, people. That's why they keep begging for you, your vote, your presence. That's why they worried about you. not spending some. They like, oh no, we got to make them Hebrew. They'll dress up a person black as night in all green hat from all green suit, and the Negro will have green moccasins with curled up toes. And I'll be like, what is wrong with that Hebrew? He talking about it's St. Patrick's Day. You mean to tell me that you took money out your baby's mouth and from rent to buy a leprechaun suit? Oh, you support the system that deep? Woo! And then when it comes to someone like the Moray, all of a sudden you broke as the Ten Commandments, huh? But you got money to go get you an elf suit, and you 6'5", 429 pounds, and you putting on an elf suit like, with curled up shoes. If you stop, the system falls apart. I promise. Y'all laughing, but somebody gonna Google it. Somebody gonna Google it and be like, no, that big, no, he didn't. You gonna see. We outdo everybody. If we just stop, that system falls apart. And let me tell you something. And if we took the resources away from that witchcraft, and turned it toward Israel, we could literally free our people overnight. Now I'm talking about economically and educationally. Why? Because we got enough amongst ourselves, if we wasn't supporting witchcraft, to support Torah and those who are trying to teach and live Torah, that we could open up our own schools, we can have our own businesses, we can have our own neighborhoods, we can have all that. But no, we too busy spending $500 on our Halloween costume. Where'd I leave off? Woo! All right, let's keep going. Or a charmer. That word charmer in Hebrew, chabar, it has the meaning, Zion, of connect to make a connection. Someone who has the ability through their speaking to join something together tight, to be bound together or coupled with. The idea is also to have fellowship with. So once again, when we talk about the charmer, we got to understand that's an English word. So what is the system about? What is the satanic system trying to do with us? Right. The satanic system is set up to try to join us with them. That's the goal. Because they know once we join with them, we then have to, in a sense, by connecting with them, we disconnect from Yah. So once we disconnect from Yah, then we become powerless as a nation, and the other nations can keep us as slaves. So even the Apostle Paul in what y'all call the New Testament, ain't no such thing, but in his writings, he said, don't be unevenly yoked together with unbelievers. So why does he use that term, and where did he get that from? You do know he got that from the Old Testament, because remember, he speaks Hebrew. So he understands that any time a person under Yah is lured to connect with a person under the devil, he said, no, that's unequally yoked. He said, how you going to have the temple of Yah and the temple of Baal and the temple of Belial How you gonna have Yah joining with the devil? That's what I keep telling people about the religious system called the Christian church. The Christian church, by its nature, in its own writings, took the satanic practices of sun worshipers and then said we need to blend that with the Torah. And what we will do is we'll change all the names of the Israelites, make them all white and Christian, and we'll change Passover to Easter. We'll change Sukkot to Halloween. We'll change the whole Hanukkah thing, the rededication of the temple to Christmas. And watch this. That was done through charms. That's charming. That was done through communication. And don't get it twisted. Not all of us fell for it. Many of our people stood strong and died before they would join together with nasty Constantine and his satanic sun worship. That is where that word comes from, to be joined together. And so let me show you something about that word. And I see my time is up for today. So you know what? We just going to have to do an extra part. That's all, because I really didn't get to the bulk of where I was going today. But that's all right, because we got a couple of more days to get these messages out, and we will. So you're going to bear with me. But I want to give you one more point. So this idea of a charmer is seeking to bind something, to connect something. And of course, it is to try to connect you with the devil. That's the whole point. But I want you to understand something. These other nations and these other cultures, they use little like pieces of jewelry and trinkets and things like that. And they feel like these little trinkets and these little pieces of jewelry and these little dangling charms and things keep them in a constant communication with the devil, what they say is their God, which is Satan. And so they use these charms. Now that's where you hear that word charm. So what is a charm? Like, you know how women, they wear these bracelets and they have these lucky charms on them? Now Zion, I'm not talking about jewelry right now, because not all jewelry falls under the category of these charms. Okay, I want you to understand that. That's not what I'm saying. Because charms and just regular jewelry, because some campers are teaching you can't wear no jewelry, and that's not true. As a matter of fact, when you look at our people, we wore jewels. We wore jewelry. It's something we did. So that's not I'm not talking about in a negative, that literally like we wore rings. You know, remember the story of the prodigal son? He said, man, put the family ring on his finger. So the idea of wearing jewelry is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, you know the difference between a piece of jewelry and a charm. And most of the time it's because they'll call it a charm. So what is a charm? A charm is anything used to join you with something or someone other than Yah. So they have little lucky charms. 777. The hearts with arrows shot through them. So what is all that stuff? Oh, this is like a lucky little rabbit's foot. Well, what about the rabbit? Anyway. You know, people say, hey, put a little bit of this in this and hold it here. Those, and I'm not trying to push this. I just want you to see that you are in a society that the system is full of charms. Most of y'all know I ride motorcycles. I've been riding since my whole life. Been had bikes and told you all, took pictures, and actually I go out and do a lot of meditation. I like to ride. It's one of the things I've just been doing forever. And, I understand I read Torah. And so I walked into the store the other day because I was trying to get, I was getting a helmet for Hula. And when I went up to the register, I saw these little bell-like things, right? And I said, what is that? And the guy told me, he said, these are good luck charms. What do you mean a good luck charm? So you won't wreck on your motorcycle. So, you get one and you give it to somebody, they put on their bike, then they buy one, they give it to somebody, and that'll help you from getting a wreck. I said, I hurried and put that thing back. No, thank you. What's wrong? It's not that much. That ain't the point. If I put this thing on this bike, boy, I might not make it home. Moreh can't do that. Not morehyosh. I read Torah. And hey, I ride on two wheels too much to be having some kind of lucky charm dangling. I'll be like, no, man, that thing liable to fall off, man, hit me, go on the spokes, man, get between the chain and cause a wreck. And man, how did he die? What happened to the Moreh? Well, that little charm thing he bought, trying to have good luck while he riding, it flew off, got caught up in the spokes, hit the chain flew off, he lost control, went down the cliff, and no more Moreh. And all of Israel will be like, that dang Moreh had a what? Israel will be like, that's what he get. He know better than be having a charm. I got to go. But if I know better, Zion, you know better too. Because them little crosses that y'all was wearing before you woke up to truth, them crosses, them are charms. Y'all ain't never told you to wear no cross around your neck. That's a charm. Them little fishes that you all got on your rings and on your, those are charms. Don't believe the Moreh, do the research yourself and find out if those are not satanic symbols of good luck or of idol gods. But because my time, I'm gonna have to do a part 2 within part 2 because I want to talk about this system because there's more to this. Believe me, I'm gonna have to do another addendum to this. I'll tie it with the same thing so that you will see the two back to back. And then we'll go to our third lesson, but I'm gonna have to let you go. We got some other things we gotta do. But Toda Rabbah, I appreciate y'all being in the room. We give Abba Yah praise for our time together. Toda Rabbah, for all of you who are taking out time to hear these messages during the season of the witch, that we might be able to understand something. Zion, this is not our system. This is not our culture. This is not how we get down. We've been given the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High Yah. Hold on to them. We walk by his word, not by what we see around us. You let these heathens be heathens. That's their business. You let them know we stand for the Most High Yah, sons and daughters, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. During the season of the witch, we stand with our Abba Yah. One love, Zion. We will continue this message. Hopefully we'll get it out tomorrow. But if we don't, it'll for sure be the next day. But I want to make sure that everybody understands the system is based in witchcraft. So therefore, we got to come out of the system and walk according to Torah. I got to go. Toda Rabbah for all your support. I didn't know Drake was in the house. Drake, you know I can't see that well. Drake is in the house. Toda Rabbah, and all of you from all over the world. Toda Rabbah. Thank you for supporting the art. And I pray that as Moreh the ARK can continue to support you, especially in these times. I got to go. Put them 1 millions in this chat. You know how we do it when we about to exit. We always say hallelujah 1 million just to let the world know we are in agreement. 1 million. Put them 1 million from all over the world. That's so beautiful. Toda Rabbi, we will be coming with this next part to finish this up. Hopefully tomorrow. So be looking for it, Zion. Hit that subscribe button if you have not, and hit the bell because I'm not sure exactly what time I'm going to be posting. If you want to be in the room live, you got to subscribe and hit the bell. And I'll be looking forward to being with you. I look forward to sharing with you. This is a labor of love from my people to the 12 tribes scattered worldwide. Shalom.
You are the most high. He is the most high. Nobody greater than you. He is the most high. I will bless you today. He is the most. Bless your name, holy name. Bless. He is the most. I will bless you all the time.